Hey friends, Allison Ramirez here, Christian author, editor, and content creator, here today with what has to be one of my favorite videos to record, which is actually my financial breakdown videos. Every year since I started my business back in 2021, I have filmed a year in review where I am very transparent with how much money I make, how much money I spend, what areas of my business generated what income, just to give other Christian authors or Christian business owners a sense of what is realistic or what to expect. If you follow big channels and you see them making $100,000 a year, it can seem really daunting if you look at your bank account and it seems to be not what you expected. So today I'm just going to be totally honest and upfront on my financial earnings from 2025. And I'm also going to share with you some of my goals and thoughts when it was the end of 2024 on what I projected or thought for this year. So hopefully it'll be fun. I'll put up snippets on the screen of that 2024 financial recap video that I did so you can compare the two as well. Without further ado, how much did I make this year in 2025 with my small business? Okay, so before we get into the numbers, I just wanted to show you this really pretty blanket. I got this from my parents for my recent birthday earlier this month. It's a Mary blanket, so it has all these different flowers that are attributed to Mary, Jesus's mom, and also this little M to represent her. And I just have it on the back of my chair. It's so cute. It goes with my flower theme for my Rosary Invitation series. So you're probably all wondering, what was my total income that I made this year? I should also preface by saying that this is my 5th year and 4th full year. But the first year that I actually have legally set myself up to operate as a business. So Trinity Tree Publishing is my business name. I operate as a sole proprietorship. Basically, my business surrounds helping authors write, edit, and self-publish their faith-based books. And I do that in a variety of ways, which you'll hear about throughout this video. But to tell you how much I made this year, drum roll please, my gross total income before deductions was $23,083.03. I don't know if that was surprising to any of you. That breaks down to about $1,923 as a monthly average income. I just gotta tell you guys, I am over the moon thrilled with this number because this is actually more than double the money I made last year in 2024 on my small business. To put it into perspective, last year my gross total income was just under $12,000, and this year my gross income was $23,000. And crazy enough, last year in 2024, I had already doubled the income I made in 2023. So that $12,000 I made in 2024 was about $6,000 in 2023. I don't want to jinx things or think that I'm going to double my income again in 2026 because that would be insane. That would be almost $50,000 at that point, which I will say, one of my favorite YouTubers, you may follow her yourself, Bethany Adizada. I first was introduced to the whole indie author world through her. And I remember she did one of her videos when she first hit that 50K mark as a small business owner. And I remember just thinking, oh my gosh, you are so amazing that you were able to do that, because those first 3 years, 2021, 2022, and 2023, I made under $10,000. And I think the first 2 years I only made like $3,000 or $5,000, just very little money. And I remember always telling myself that I'm never going to be able to live off of this. And I still can't say for sure if I'll ever get to a point where I can say I can live off of my small business money. But to see these tremendous leaps and bounds that my business has been able to accomplish, it's such a blessing to me. It really is. And this is a Christian business that I operate, so I always just give glory to God. And I know that it's thanks to Him for leading the right people into my sphere of influence at the right times and walking with me and guiding me and presenting opportunities for growth to me to be able to get to this place. So I'm truly very thankful for that. Okay, so now I'm gonna tell you my net income. This is probably the most important number because this is how much I actually get to put in my pocket at the end of the day. This is after state tax deductions. This is after all of my expenses for my small business. So the total take-home amount I had as my net income for 2025 was $18,471.79, which averages out to a monthly net income of $1,671. So for those of you who were doing the math, that lets you know that my total expenses for 2025 for my business were $4,611.24. Now, I did a little bit of research because I was curious on what the ideal profit margin, meaning after all the expenses and other things you got to do to run your business, how much are you going to be making in profit? And most businesses, I was surprised that they make about 5 to 20% profit. So the money that they're getting in versus the money that they actually take home is about 5 to 20% margin. My margin was about 80%, meaning that I got to take home almost all of the money that I made. My expenses and other fees and things I had to pay was low enough that most of the money I got to recoup, which is just so great. Now, a little disclaimer on that. I'm going to be filing my business taxes for the first time in 2026 for this 2025 year. Now, that's going to be federal taxes. So I know I will have to pay additional money in taxes. I don't know how much that's going to be, but it could be hundreds of dollars, maybe even $1,000 or more. So then that profit margin would go down. But I know that I would still be at least 50 and above % of how much money my business made in 2025. So now I want to break down the expenses with you. Where did that $4,611 and some cents come from? What was I needing to spend on for my business? One of the biggest expenses, actually the biggest expense this year for me, was my website redesign. I've created a couple of videos about that already that I'll link below, but I created my own website from scratch in WordPress like 4 years ago. I have no website design experience, and I was just limping along with a site that was just doing the bare minimum of what I needed. And I decided that I wanted to hire someone to help me really just refresh it and make it more professional. So I hired Sofina Labano, who is a great Christian business owner herself. And she redesigned my website for $1,500. Basically, she added like 8 brand new pages. She did a whole aesthetic color scheme. She worked in SEO optimization in the background of the website. She added so many photos, hyperlinks. She added an online store for me. What else did she do? Oh, she added like subscribe buttons and pop-ups for my newsletter. I did a lot of embedding of various links to outside sources. So my website got a total facelift. I love how it looks, and I'm so excited that I'm going to be entering 2026 with that new site. But that was my biggest expense. Secondly was actually YouTube. So I started this YouTube channel back in 2021, and I was just like posting sporadically videos. And then I decided I wanted to get more serious and more regular with my YouTube posting schedule. But I didn't realize that there's more than just filming a YouTube video. You have to be able to pick your keywords, and you have to be able to have SEO optimization of your videos and chapter titles. You have to do all these other things to help your videos gain visibility. And so I had several different people I worked with throughout the year at various price points. I ended up spending $681.05 on anything related to helping my YouTube channel grow. Now, I will say that my YouTube channel grew from about 100 subscribers to now I have almost 900 subscribers. I don't really think that price point, like I spent almost $700 and I gained, what is that, like 800 followers? That's almost $1 a follower. So I don't know what I'm going to do in 2026. I plan to continue this channel. I plan to continue posting every Wednesday, a long form video. But yeah, I don't know if the amount I paid was really worth it for the growth that I saw. Now, obviously, that's not including people that watched my videos and reached out to me about my editing services, which I did have several people do that, or buy my books. So I could have been making money off of these videos that, would more than balance out the money I spent, but that's something I'm still discerning and trying to figure out how much I want to spend on YouTube next year. Catholic Writers Guild Live Conference. So if you're not a member of the Catholic Writers Guild, I'd highly recommend it. They're an amazing community of Christian authors and creatives. Every year they have an in-person conference. Usually it's in Naperville, Illinois. I live in Washington State, so that required me to get on a plane, book a hotel, and I had never done it before, but I really wanted to participate this year, and I got a chance to go in April and meet so many of my online author friends in person. If that wasn't enough, I even got to present on a panel with a couple other amazing authors in the Catholic publishing realm, and the panel was all about how to give and receive feedback well. And so I had to spend $439.97 was how much everything costed for me to attend that conference, but I think it was well worth it for the networking and just the overall learning and experience. I also entered a book award competition called Catholic Media Awards, which costed me $86.77. But thankfully, my book actually won first place in the category I entered, which is science fiction novels. You can actually see that frame on the wall behind me is my award. And the book is that green cover book on my shelf behind me that won the award, The Divided Kingdom. So money well spent there. And then there's also operations for my business, which is renewing my business license, which is paying relevant taxes and fees. That all ended up being $271.16. Another big investment, which is thankfully only a one-time investment, is that I decided to bite the bullet and buy all my own ISBN numbers. Those barcodes and numbers on the back of books, you can get them for free through Amazon, but if you want to distribute your books anywhere else on other platforms, you have to own your own ISBN. So I decided to buy a huge batch of them so I never would have to buy them again. But that costed me $575 to buy. I think it was like 100 or 50 numbers. And they're individual numbers that you use on all the different forms of your book. The ebook, the audiobook, the paperback, the hardcover. So that was a big investment, but I won't have to make it again. And then subscriptions. So I am a member, as I mentioned, of the Catholic Writers Guild, also of Legend Fiction Community. I'm a part of Christian Editor Connection. I pay for the online Chicago Manual of Style. I have these various subscriptions that I pay for, and that all amounted to $170 for the year. I also took a course this year for the first time by Emily Ritchie. She's another great Christian small business owner with website design and marketing help for Christian businesses. So her course I paid for was $177.30. It was like a 3-month program and course to help me in marketing and to teach me a lot of amazing skills to help become a better marketer. Then getting down to some of the lesser costing things, bookish goodies and booth fees to go to different events or to buy like bookmarks or stickers or things that I pass out with my books costed me $93. And then to buy the author copies that I ship out to readers and to actually ship them out, all those costed me $365.13. So hopefully that gives you a sense of what I spent my money on for my business this year. For the most part, I think that I spent well and that I didn't have any unnecessary expenses except for maybe YouTube, as I mentioned. I'm still debating on how much I spent and if it was really worth it and if I want to continue spending that kind of money next year. Okay, so now we're gonna move into breaking down based on income stream. And I want to also compare that with the 2024 numbers for my small business. So I have 12 different kind of assets, if you will, of my business, but I lumped them together into 4 main categories just to make it easier for you, because that's what I did last year too. And the first category is my books. That is my first love, is writing books and having people read them and to be able to inspire others in both fiction and nonfiction. So this year in 2025, I made $1,555.66 on my book sales. Now, I have 5 books out, and also 500 of those dollars was me winning another book award for my same book that I mentioned earlier, The Divided Kingdom. I was a winner in the Falling Dusk Publishing Fiction Contest, and I got a $500 scholarship for that. So if you disclude that, I made about $1,000 on my book sales. The year before, in 2024, I made $834.92. So I made an extra $200, which makes sense because I actually published 2 more books this year than I had last year. I'm hoping to continue to grow my book sales. That's a really big area of improvement for me, is I want to really spend some time digging deeper and looking for more creative ways to market my books. Next is editing. Editing is the #1 moneymaker for my small business. It's where I have the most success. It's where I feel the most confident, and it shows in my income streams. This year in 2025, I made $16,923.91 on my editing services, and that was over 45 unique projects that I worked on. Again, just so amazed by that number and so blessed, and I just love the opportunity to be an editor for self-published books. Comparing that with last year in 2024 for editing, I made $5,369.84, and I worked on 15 projects. So I more than doubled the amount of projects. Actually, I tripled the amount of projects, and I pretty much tripled the amount of money I made. So I'm really hoping that editing services is an area that can continue to serve me and serve those I work with, and can continue to grow next year, which I hope to hit 50 projects next year is my goal. Moving on to the third income stream of, I call this content creation, but this is really a lot of different things. It's a hodgepodge. It's my affiliates that I receive money for being affiliates for various companies. This is my Substack newsletter. This is speaking at conferences or events, or any other random money I get for things that don't fall into the other categories. So this year I made $624.72. Last year, it was a little bit different because I had a category that was called other writing, which is me writing like articles, short stories, blog posts, and getting paid for those through various journals and magazines. Sadly, this year, I didn't have any other writing that I did. I only did my books. I didn't submit any articles, blog posts, or anything to other places. I plan to next year to get back into that. But last year I had made $1,800 doing that. So I hope to get back into that next year. My fourth income stream is my coaching services. I mentioned in another video that I'll also link below that I am a writing coach for Santa Clara University, which I absolutely love. I get to work with people who are pursuing their theology degrees, mentoring them in their papers. And I also coach individual authors who are looking to self-publish. So I made $3,518.74 this year. Last year, I made $3,994.11. So my coaching is actually the only category that I made more in last year than I did this year, but just by a smidge, just by a few $100s. That's my breakdown. And so I hope it was helpful. I really like sharing this because as small business owners, we put so much effort and so much dedication into what we do, and so often see very little monetary compensation. And especially if you're looking to really make your small business not just your hobby, but you're more of your full-time job, then obviously making money is critical for just being able to live in this world. And again, I just give all that credit and glory to God, and I'm just so grateful and know that if it weren't for Him, I wouldn't be able to do this work and serve authors in the ways that I do. So if this video was helpful, go ahead and comment below your goals for your own business, or anything you want to share. I'd love to hear from you. And stay tuned for next week's video, because this is also going to be another fun one where I'm going to tell you what my goals were for 2025 and if I reached those goals, and then my goals for 2026 for my small business and looking ahead to the future. So thanks again for watching. Take care and God bless.